Hi everyone, and welcome back to You Know Who. I'm your host, the Last Angry Geek. Well, we've got another two-parter, so let's dive right into this review of Doctor Who, The Rebel Flesh, and the Almost People. On a small island, 3 of the worst StarCraft Marines I've ever seen head into a chamber to perform maintenance and test the contents of a vat. One of the crew accidentally falls in and starts to melt, though he doesn't seem to mind. The remaining crew exit and the tech is there, alive and well. Aboard the TARDIS, the Doctor's still trying to figure out Amy's non-pregnancy. A solar storm forces the TARDIS to materialize on an island. They find a medieval monastery.
Oh, we've gone all medieval.
We're not sure about that.
Really? Medieval expert, are you?
No, it's just that I can hear Dusty Springfield.
The island is a pumping station mining acid. They come across the crew, spread eagle on strange tables. They're then confronted by more crew members, exact doubles for the people on the tables. A little psychic paper and the Doctor bluffs his way into the mining operation and gets the foreman, Miranda, to show him where the clones are manufactured. The clones, or gangers as they're called, are created from a biomatter called the flesh, controlled via mental harness and used to mine the dangerous acid. Touching the flesh, the Doctor is psychically overwhelmed, but before he can explain, a second solar storm hits the island. The Doctor tries to talk Miranda into evacuating, but she won't have it. Realizing the solar storm will cause a massive power surge that will destroy the island, the Doctor leaves to repair the weather vane that acts as an energy collector, but not before telling Amy,
Amy, breathe.
Yeah. Thanks, I'll try.
The storm hits, knocking the Doctor off the tower as the gangers seem to turn into noseless gray monsters. Why is it noseless monsters always have that little, nose bump? You know what I mean, you see it all the time in Star Trek. I say commit to your craft, have your noses removed, then you can play a truly noseless monster. The Doctor comes to and finds Miranda, a bit stunned. They return to the harness room, but notice that the gangers are missing. When someone starts playing the record from before, the Doctor theorizes that the storm granted them independent life, and the gangers now possess their operator's memories. Rory takes a sick Jennifer to the bathroom where she has an exorcist moment and coughs up flesh. She then goes Stretch Armstrong and attacks Rory. As this is happening, the Doctor hands a hot plate to Miranda, but she doesn't react until he reminds her that it's hot. Unable to stabilize her new body, she turns all sea monkey-ish and runs off. Amy realizes Rory might be in trouble and they go to find him. With acid spills threatening to destroy the island, the Doctor heads to the TARDIS, as Rory confronts Jennifer's ganger, who is hysterical over her lack of identity, causing him to take pity on her. The Doctor finds the TARDIS sinking into the island via an acid pit, and accidentally burns off his shoes. Meanwhile, the human crew finds that the acid protection suits have been stolen by the gangers. Rory and Jennifer's body, please hold the Megan Fox jokes, go to rejoin the others, while Amy has yet another Space Nurse Ratchet moment. At first I hated all these unexplained appearances, but now I love them. I love that we're 6 episodes in and we still have no idea who this woman is or where that little door is coming from. I love it, do you hear me? I just love it!
If someone you know or love has been overexposed to a bad plot device, and you think they might be suffering from fanboy Stockholm Syndrome, aka midi-chlorian approval, dial the number below.
Rory asks the humans to accept Flesh Jennifer, as the Doctor makes contact with the gangers, asking for a peace summit with the humans. The real Miranda, though, begins to build a weapon, as the humans react badly to the gangers having their memories and emotions. The human Miranda shows up pointing her electric gun at the gangers and threatening their lives.
Oh, great. You see, that is just so typically me.
One of the gangers rushes her and Miranda kills him. Rory jumps Miranda and disarms her, but the gangers run away. Flesh Jennifer calls for the humans to die so that the gangers can live. The Doctor takes the humans to a safe room as the acid damage gets worse, but Rory goes to look for Jennifer just as the gangers arrive. The humans soon realize that they're not alone as someone emerges from the shadows.
But I'm certain, 100% certain that we can work this out. Trust me. I'm the Doctor.
It's like somebody bred Matt Smith with a shark. It's all gray-skinned teeth and bow ties. Well, that was the Rebel Flesh. Now the tensions have escalated and we've had a nice little break between episodes, so let's dive right in to the Almost People. The Flesh Doctor has trouble adapting to 11 lifetimes of memories, but seems to stabilize as the gangers use acid to burn through the door. The doctors are definitely of one mind as Amy notices their different shoes. Both of them tell Amy,
Breathe.
the humans escape but find that the air is turning poisonous due to the acid leaks. Flesh Miranda is suffering headaches, but still thinks clearly enough to know where her counterpart would lead the others. The humans arrive in the communications center as the Flesh Jennifer preaches the destruction of humanity as the only way for their kind to survive. The twin doctors repair the communications equipment as Amy tries to reason which of the doctors is real, despite their assertions that they are both real. Amy reacts a bit coldly to the newer doctor, something not lost on either of them. Miranda calls to the mainland and orders an evacuation and the destruction of the gangers. Meanwhile, Jennifer tries to activate some machine that won't recognize her as human. Amy again professes that there can only be one real doctor before having another Patchy the Pirate sighting. She finally tells the doctor about these visions, but he blows it off.
Doctor,
Nothing.
doesn't seem like nothing.
It's time memory, like a mirage. There's nothing to worry about.
Flesh Doctor has a bad turn and runs out of the room with Amy following. She apologizes for doubting him and tells the Flesh Doctor about the real one's upcoming death. The doctor snaps. He scares off Amy and tries to explain that he was overwhelmed by the flesh's sense of anguish and despair every time one of the gangers' bodies is killed. The flesh is after revenge for the many deaths inflicted on it by humanity. A suspicious Miranda then calls for the Flesh Doctor to be put under guard. Rory comes upon two Jennifers fighting. He notices one is limping and sees that she has burns on her legs, marking her as the human. The two fight and the Flesh Jennifer is accidentally knocked into a pit of acid and melted down. On security cam, the humans see Jennifer and Rory heading for the thermostatic room, and the doctor sends Buzzer and the Flesh Doctor after Rory. Jennifer wants to clean the air of its choking acid gas. She uses Rory's hand to activate the systems, but the machine actually turns off the coolants that will lead to the acids below the castle eventually erupting and destroying everything. Miranda continues to suffer headaches, and the doctor tells her that she has a blood clot in her brain. The humans have to evacuate communications, and the gangers manage to reroute the shuttle and call off their extermination. Jennifer and Rory come upon a mound of faces and bodies that Jennifer identifies as discarded flesh. The Flesh Doctor comes upon the human Jennifer's body. She has just died. Buzzer then knocks out and abandons the doctor on Miranda's orders. Buzzer finds the false Jennifer alone and she kills him. Rory finally turns up and promises to lead the humans to the TARDIS thanks to a tunnel Jennifer has found. The Flesh Doctor is recovered by the gangers as Jennifer locks up the humans. Rory realizes he's been duped, and rather than expose the abuse done to the flesh, Jennifer's actually locked them in an acid room to die.
Yep, here's your problem. Someone set this thing to evil.
The vat will soon overheat and acid will fill the room. As Rory pleads for the humans' lives, a phone call the doctor placed earlier finally connects. A holographic image of a young boy appears, the son of Jimmy, one of the workers. The Flesh Jimmy is overwhelmed by the sight of his son and goes to rescue the humans. Flesh Miranda orders the others to release the humans and tells Jennifer that her human counterpart was kind and gentle, but she has become a monster. Jennifer runs off, determined to kill the remaining humans. Jimmy and Dickon rescue the humans, but not before an acid splash kills the human Jimmy. The two species reconcile, with the human Jimmy passing on his wedding ring to the ganger. Jennifer abandons her human form and chases the combined group through the catacombs. They try sealing the doors but lose human Dickon. The TARDIS then crashes through the roof, landing in the catacombs. The ganger Miranda and human doctor have to stay to keep the door closed. Amy calls for the real doctor to leave, but the doctors reveal they switched shoes. The doctor that Amy's been cozy with was actually the ganger. They needed to study her reaction to the flesh. Realizing she's been wrong about the gangers, she hugs the Flesh Doctor. There's yet another strange moment.
Push Amy. But only when she tells you to.
As the TARDIS dematerializes, the ganger doc uses the sonic screwdriver one last time, disintegrating himself, Miranda, and Jennifer. Aboard the TARDIS, the Doctor cures Miranda's blood clot, drops Flesh Jimmy off with his son, and then takes Miranda and Dickon to the company's headquarters to put forth a case for equal rights for gangers.
Breathe.
Why?
Breathe.
Oh! Whoa. Whoa.
What's wrong with her? Get her into the TARDIS.
Aboard the TARDIS, the Doctor reveals that Amy is in labor, and he wanted to study the flesh in its early days to find a way to block a signal being sent to Amy. The Doctor promises he'll find Amy no matter where she is. He then disintegrates her body into flesh. The real Amy awakens in a white chamber. A door slides open and there's Patchy telling her that it's almost time. Amy looks down and sees she's pregnant. What's going on here? My God, that was the mother of all cliffhangers, no pun intended. But we'll come back to that in a minute. Let's take a look now at The Rebel Flesh and the Almost People. Was this a real classic or just a pale imitation? Well, let's start with the bad. The most obvious flaw being that this is one of the most overused plots in Doctor Who history. The classic us versus them. Humanity and Group X should be able to get along but can't, and the Doctor has to show them the errors of their ways. Most recently we saw this in the Hungry Earth two-parter, as well as the Doctor's Daughter and the Planet of the Ood, so the plot isn't exactly groundbreaking. That having been said, it did try and shake things up by having the two Doctors switch places. This lets us take a nice look at the unintentional prejudice Amy brings to the Doctor. Admit it, for a while you were seeing the New Shoes Doctor as the original and the Old Shoes Doctor as a pale copy. Granted, he gets destroyed at the end, reinforcing that thought, but for a while it was a nice plot twist as the Doctor made his point about equality. And the story itself, while not original, is pretty decent. They actually moved along some of those plot threads that have been hanging over us. The Doctor finds out about his death, and we're finally led into a confrontation with Ratchet. Okay, I've been harder on Patchy than anyone, but I can admit the idea that Amy's mind was being projected into a false body where her real body was elsewhere growing more and more pregnant, I did not see that coming. This whole eye patch woman thing bothered me from the start because I felt it was trying very hard to copy that moment in The Big Bang where you see the Doctor traveling back in time, and it goes back to that moment in Flesh and Stone where the Doctor's talking to Amy, but it's not her Doctor, it's the second Doctor as he travels back in time. That's what I felt this plot thread was trying to be. Something that would take place over a long period of time and then just get wrapped up with one quick, tiny scene where we see just how clever and quirky it was. And that kind of annoyed me. But they've tied it into Amy's pregnancy, and it looks like it's going to be resolved in the next episode, the mid-season break. So a lot of those hanging plot threads I was complaining about in the season premiere, The Impossible Astronaut, are finally getting taken care of, and I can appreciate that. Also, that was one hell of a cliffhanger. I felt both cliffhangers were very good. A cliffhanger should make you really want to see the next episode, and in both cases that worked. I guess you could see the Flesh Doctor coming, but I really thought that Amy or Rory was going to be copied after the storm. And the final reveal that Amy's pregnant body has been prisoner while her mind has been transmitting to a clone body, I did not see that coming, and it was a genuinely scary ending. Also, this two-parter gave Mr. Amy Pond something to do besides look hurt or, well, die. Rory finally steps up and starts acting like a hero for someone besides his wife. I know they showed a few shots of jealous Amy. Rory's caring for Jessica was more like someone acting brave to comfort a frightened child. Where the story struggled was its depiction of the crew and their gangers. The whole Flesh Miranda being nicer and kinder than human Miranda is another of those stale plot threads, but I'll give the actress credit for at least making the dual identical roles different and believable. And she spends her whole time trying to destroy the Flesh, yet at the end she's willing to fight for their right to exist. At no time did I see any moment that explained this drastic change of heart. Nothing that made me believe she'd changed her views. And why did Flesh Jennifer go bad? I get that they needed a villain, but why go with Flesh Jennifer when human Miranda fit that bill so nicely? Why did she turn sadistic and become the hand-wringing maniac who wants to destroy the human race? But at least the ladies had something to do. The male crew members were more or less one-dimensional characters. And my final question, why did the destabilized Flesh look like sea monkeys? You know, an interesting scenario might be to see how Jimmy's son adapts to having a Flesh father. Of course, the idea of having a fake parent was explored pretty heavily in that Doctor Who spin-off, My Mother, the Auton. Neither of these episodes was particularly better or worse than the other. They both had good cliffhangers, and those people who had something to do in the script did them well. The bad parts weren't bad, just boring and unimaginative, retreading old ground. I give Doctor Who, The Rebel Flesh, and The Almost People a combined rating of 3 out of 5 TARDISes. And we'll see you back here next week for the mid-season cliffhanger, A Good Man Goes to War, with Silurians, Sontarans, and Cybermen, oh my, here on You Know Who.